Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Today we have a new reply against the Salafis by those people of Bradford who decided to give up calling Christians to Islam, giving their whole life, dedicating all of their efforts to bash the da'wah of Ahlul Hadith, as you know them. And this is because of Ilm al-Kalam and other agendas, Allahu A'lam. But anyway, let's see what they have today. There is a video titled Ibn Hajar slams the Salafis. MashaAllah. You will realize today that those Al-Islam productions, as if they are committing suicide, they are bringing to us a page claiming that it contains slamming of Ibn Hajar to the Salafis. The same page is slamming to the Al-Islam productions. They didn't realize it, that at the same page there is what slams Al-Islam production. I'm not going to tell you where it is now. I will put the page now here, but I'm not going to give details. You'll find it in the middle of the video. The video is very important, very humiliating to those who keep giving their utmost effort to slam the Salafis, but they don't realize that the slam returns on their faces. Watch the video carefully. Thank you. Well, wait a minute. Ibn Hajar, he kept praising certain scholars, describing them that they are on the way of the Salaf. They are on the Aqeedah of the Salaf. Salafi Aqeedah. Are you guys proud of the Aqeedah Salafiyya as Ibn Hajar is proud of? Does anyone among you says I'm Salafi? No. He'll be saying something that Ibn Hajar did not know. They call themselves Diobandi, not Salafi. Look at him here. He's praising those people who are on the way of the Salaf. Anyway, there will be another video, inshallah, proving that Ibn Hajar is not Ash'ari. Even if he, in some ways, he agreed with Ash'aris, but he's not Ash'ari. But let's go with the brothers today. May Allah guide them to what they have today. The slamming they claim, it will return on their faces, and you will see.
Respected viewers of Islam, welcome back once again. So I have in front of me here Fath al-Bari, the greatest commentary of Sahih al-Bukhari, and I have opened Kitab al-Tahajjud in front of me. He mentioned some kalam under the hadith of Yanzilu Rabbuna Tabaraka wa Ta'ala, how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is said to descend every night. And this hadith is a hadith that the Ahlul Sunnah accept.
You accept and you obey that Allah descends. When you say I accept, then you twist the meaning. That means you did not accept. And you will see. Ibn al-Attar, the special student of Imam Nawawi, he said that these ta'weels, these false interpretations, they are set in order to deny Allah's attributes. Look what watch carefully what he is saying in his book Al-I'tiqad al-Khalis min al-Shakk wal-Intiqad.
And they say that whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala means by this and whatever Allah intended, alhamdulillah, we believe him. What they don't do is start dwelling or say this is literally descending, and because descension means to come from a higher place down to a lower place, and obviously Allah is free from this type of tahayyuz and coming into makan. And
if he's free from this tahayyuz, etc., why did he describe himself with this? That means what he's describing is not fit to His Majesty. Inappropriate description. That's what it leads to. Be smart. Let's continue. See, I'm telling you, they say that we accept the hadith, and afterwards they say, but Allah should not be settled in a place, etc. Then they play games and they twist the meaning of the hadith, saying that the descendants is an angel on Allah's behalf. What? The angel says, I am the king? Is there any angel that dares to say, I am the king? The hadith says that Allah descends and He says, I am the king. Or they say that the descendants is His mercy, not Himself. But the Prophet ﷺ said that Allah's mercy is 100 parts. He descended one part among His 100 parts of mercy down. Now, this descendance is not at the last part of the night. It's always. And the hadith is great evidence against you. So how those people say that Allah's mercy descends every day while the hadith is clear that Allah, before that, He descended from the 100 parts of mercy, He descended one long time ago. Contradiction! Allah did not say that this one part of the 100 parts of mercy will be descended every day at the last part of the night. No! He descended long time ago. It's on earth. And all creatures are dealing by that mercy. So how do you say that the mercy of Allah will be descended only at the last part of the night? It's playing games. You say, I accept the hadith, but you play games of the hadith. This is the problem. And that is the way of the Mu'tazila. I want to give you the solution of those people, how to deal with them. Look, they say to you, you should not be taking the hadith apparently. All right, tell them fine. So give me the right meaning. What should I do? They'll be falling in trouble if you ask them this question. They'll say to you, maybe. See, maybe, because they're going to give you possibilities. They will never be giving you definite meaning. Because Abu Mansur al-Maturidi, in his book At-Tawheed, page 74, he says that the meanings we give to the attributes of Allah are not definite, but possible. Possibly correct. Look what Maturidi says. ثم لا نقطع تأويله على شيء لاحتماله غيره. That means we cannot claim that the ta'wil we give is definite because it may possibly mean something different. So they say to us, don't take it literally. Okay, give us your correct meaning. Our correct meaning is possible. It is not definite. You see, they are people of doubt. That's what Ibn Hajar said. But you guys keep saying that those ahadith are ahad and we don't take ahad in Aqidah because ahad are possibly authenticated. So we don't deal with possibilities. But the ta'wil you give now, with the confession of your leader, Abu Mansur al-Maturidi, they are possibles, not something definite. You see the contradiction? You want us to compromise with you, to bargain with you, with your possibilities. So their solution is to give you possibilities, number one. Number two, they won't be able to give you any answer except the answer that is identical to the Mu'tazila. Saying, for example, the descendants is Allah's mercy. But how can this be when the Prophet told us that Allah's mercy, it's one part over 100 parts, that Allah kept 99 with Him and descended one, as you see in this hadith in Sahih Muslim. So how come He descends another mercy while He told us that He descended a mercy already, which is always down and all people dealing thereby? Now those people wanted to fix the meaning. They ruined the meaning by narrowing Allah's mercy, that Allah does not descend His mercy except at the last part of the night. Subhanallah, they narrowed Allah's mercy. Number one, the descendants, possibly the angels, the descendants is Allah's decree, order. The other meaning is that Allah sends an angel, but How dare the angel says, I am the king, that means I am Allah. That's impossible. That's a lie. This given meaning is false because the angel doesn't dare to say, I am Allah. I am the king, that means I am Allah. The third meaning is that it is Allah's order that comes down. But Allah's order comes down day and night, not only at the last part of the night. You have two ayat here. One of them is talking about the coming of the angel or some miracles of your Lord. In another ayah, that the angels come or the command of your Lord come. So how do you make all things are the meaning of Allah's coming? Allah differentiated between His coming or His order coming. And you're making the three one. That's false. So you failed in giving the correct meaning. The other thing is that Ash-Shafi'i said no one is allowed to move the meaning from exterior to interior except by ijma', consensus of the scholars. And we disagree with you until now. And you're not allowed to claim that Allah did not want the external meaning apart from the internal. Who told you? Do you have revelation coming to you from Allah? And all of those are the possibilities of the Mu'tazila. So they'll be in trouble. See, what they do to you is that they say to you, you should not take this hadith literally. All right, tell us about the meanings you give. Don't just condemn me, saying to me, you should not. Okay, tell me what I should. And if you ask them this, they will recognize that they are falling in trouble by being exposed of giving the similar meaning that the Mu'tazila and Jahmiyyah give. This is a good solution. By this, you can expose them that they are, in a matter of fact, Jahmiyyah. Let's continue. Let me go with the brother step by step. You want to slam the Salafis. You want to use Ibn Hajar to slam the Salafis, and the slam will return on you. Academically, intellectually, not emotionally. You know who I am. Let's continue.
Coming to places and settling and these locations and this physical body, that is attributed to Allah by the anthropomorphists.
Wait a minute. Whatever Allah describes Himself, we describe Him. He said that He is over His throne. Do you accept it? No. Because He said the same thing about being over the throne. He should not be in a direction. He should not be over a place. He is out of the places, etc. So you're gonna say the same. You're gonna play the same game. So don't fool yourself or fool others by saying we accept whatever Allah describes Himself, but afterwards you manipulate what Allah described Himself. Just like the way you fool yourself when you say, yes, every bid'ah is dalala, as the Prophet said. But the meaning is, not every bid'ah is dalala. You say, we accept the hadith, then you oppose the hadith. This is your problem. That's why we've been asking you, is every innovation misguidance? You say, oh, that's what the Prophet said. Is it true? Which one is correct? To say every bid'ah is misguidance or not every bid'ah is misguidance. This is how you contradict the hadith. You say, yes, we accept the hadith, yet you destroy the hadith. And Allah said that He is in as-sama. Then we ask you, is Allah in as-sama as He said about Himself? You say, yes, as He is, as He said it. But it doesn't mean that He is op. I'm imitating the Bradford accent. But it doesn't mean He's op. So what is the value of accepting this ayah, amintum man fis sama? You're fooling yourself, fooling others. No benefit for your knowledge except throwing doubts on people. That's all. See? That's the point. Continue, please.
This is something which the Ahlul Sunnah have always refuted. Now
That's not Ahlul Sunnah who refuted. Those are the Jahmiyyah. The Salafis confronted them and they debated with them. As Al-Bukhari mentioned in his book Khalq Af'al al-Ibad, and he quoted the Salaf saying, we've been debating with Jahmiyyah and it ended up with them believing that there is no God over the throne, that the throne is empty. There's no one over the throne. It's empty. No God over it. So those rulings you gave that Allah should not be in a place, etc., those are Greek philosophy kind of rules. We don't deal with them. And the Salaf did not give them any consideration. Let's continue.
in front of me the hadith, the same hadith, ينزل ربنا تبارك وتعالى كل ليلة إلى السماء الدنيا.
Continue the hadith.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala every night, descends to the lowest heaven. حين يبقى ثلث الليل الآخر. When the last third of the night remains. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala then calls out, is there anyone to call?
He says, I am the king. He calls, saying, I am the king. So no angel is allowed to say, I am the king. Otherwise, the angel will become God. So no one should be saying, I am the king, which means to say that it's Allah himself, truly, who descends, because he's the one who says, I am the king. Continue.
Call upon me so I may accept his dua. Is there anyone to ask me so I may give him? Is there anyone to seek forgiveness so I may?
He's supposed to be using that term, I am the king. But because if he says it, it will be causing confusion to people. How come an angel says, I am the king? Then he skipped it. Let's continue.
Forgive him or her. Now, Hafiz ibn Hajar al-Asqalani rahimahullah mentions some very, very important kalam here. He says,
very important, but very contradictory. Go on.
استدل به من أثبت الجهة. He says that this hadith is used as a proof by those people who ascribe directions to Allah.
That's all what Ibn Hajar said. Continue. The same page. Then he quoted what the Salaf believed. You know when he says, وَأَنْكَرَهُ الْجُمْهُورِ, that means the Jumhur of Ilm al-Kalam. Why? Let's continue. The same page. He said, وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ أَجْرَاهُ عَلَى مَا وَرَدْ. That means among them are those who left the text as it is. مُؤْمِنًا بِهِ, believing in it. على طريق الإجمال, in generally. منزها لله عن الكيفية والتشبيه, exalting Allah above any howness, above any similarity. وهم جمهور السلف. Allahu Akbar. You brought this page to slam us with it, then it became Islam against you. So when Ibn Hajar said وَأَنْكَرَهُ الْجُمْهُورِ, he's not talking about Jumhur al-Salaf, because he mentioned the different way of Jumhur al-Salaf on the same page, Fath al-Bari, volume 3, page 30. You see, line number 9. You see your ignorance? Why don't you continue the text? Because the Salaf do not say that this is tahayyuz, this is jihad. This had not been known by the Salaf. So for sure. So when he said Ankarahu al-Jumhur, that means the Jumhur of Ilm al-Kalam. Then people will be recognized that Jumhur al-Salaf are different than the first Jumhur. Who are the Jumhur? Ilm al-Kalam, because they say, if we believe in this, this will be establishing a direction to Allah. Who are those who say that? The The Salaf? No way. But the people of Ilm al-Kalam. I have copied the page for you as a gift for you. Take my gift. Allahu Akbar. Akbar. The Islam returns on you. So watch this slapping, this smacking, slapping of Ibn Hajar on the faces of Al-Islam Productions. Take my productions. This is Islamic production from Ibn Hajar to Al-Islam production. Islam production to Al-Islam production. Okay, who are those who ascribe directions to Allah? Number one, there is no one who ascribes directions with S. No. But they ascribe to Allah what He is ascribed to Himself, the direction of height, ulu, that Allah is up. This is the direction that Allah ascribed to Himself. So we ascribe Him by what He ascribed Himself. So we don't ascribe directions with S to Allah. No, but only one, in which Allah ascribed to Himself. This is for you to learn and to know. Continue.
Because Allah is free from direction. Okay?
No, Allah is up over His throne. It is not the Salafis who ascribed Allah to be over His throne, but it was Allah Himself. It is He who described Himself that He is Dhul Ma'arij, that the angels mount up unto Him. تعرج الملائكة والروح إليه. This is what Allah said about Himself. Why do you deny this? So one direction He ascribed. See, now you're denying. I want you to see, brothers, how those people claim that they accept what Allah described Himself, but they're denying what Allah ascribed to Himself. He said, أَأَمِنْتُم مَّن فِي السَّمَاءِ. He told us in this ayah that He is in as-sama, in the height. As-sama, it doesn't mean the sky that surround Allah. No. As-sama is the ulu, the height. As An-Nawawi commented on this hadith, الخيمة درة طولها في السماء 70 ميلا or 60 ميلا. The tent of the mu'min in Jannah, its height is 70 miles or 60 miles. So when the Prophet said في السماء, An-Nawawi said that means in al-ulu, in the height. So Allah is in the height as He described Himself. Would you accept it? No. I know you. Let's continue. So those people, they want to slam us, but they don't tell the people what do they believe. Continue.
So Hafiz ibn Hajar is on the same belief as Al-Imam Al-Tahawi rahimahullah, who said Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is free ta'ala anil hududi wal ghayat. I'm not even going to repeat that in the...
Al-Tahawi said Allah is far above the hudud, the limits, and that's what we believe. But we believe that Allah limited Himself to be up apart from down, and that's what Abu Hanifa said. And Al-Bayhaqi narrated this. Then Al-Bayhaqi said that Abu Hanifa wrote a book titled as Allah is in the height apart from the earth. Then Al-Bayhaqi said, what Abu Hanifa said is true, and he agreed with the texts of the book and the Sunnah for Allah being up over His throne. Hello, my dear brother. Wake up. That's what in Al-Asma' wal-Sifat for Al-Bayhaqi. By the way, Al-Bayhaqi agreed that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is over the heaven. He believes that. And that Allah is over all things. وَهُوَ فَوْقَ الْأَشْيَاءِ. Allah is over all things. Anyway. And we have here Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari in his message to the people of Thagr, Risala ila Ahl al-Thagr, page 332, he is saying that Allah that all people, all scholars agreed that Allah is over His throne, over His heavens, apart from the earth. That's the Jumhur, which agree with the belief of the Salaf. Other than that is the Jumhur of Ilm al-Kalam. There is a very important benefit here, is to know that At-Tahawi has many mistakes. And Al-Bayhaqi was complaining against the methodology of At-Tahawi. In his book, Ma'rifat al-Sunan wal-Athar, he said, I have come across many ahadith that At-Tahawi, because of his dependence on his opinion more than the Athar, he correct the weak Athar because it goes simultaneously with his opinion. He correct them. And he weaken some authentic narrations in which they do not meet with his opinion. And that's why, because of one thing happened with him, he got angry and he changed his madhab because of this, from being a Shafi'i to become Hanafi. Now prepare for the shock. The whole Salaf, they approved, they affirmed one jihah to Allah. Jihah means direction. One that is up. Who affirmed it? It's Allah. Then the Salaf, all. Then Jilani himself, he approved that Allah is in jihah, is in the jihah. That means he is in the direction of height. وَهُوَ بِجِهَةِ الْعُلُوِّ. So, At-Tahawi is contradicted by the whole Salaf and by Jilani himself, who proved that Allah is in the direction of height. Look at the book. So stop always, they always repeat this melody. At-Tahawi said, تعالى الله عن الحدود والغايات والأدوات والأعضاء. That's the only thing. That's the only evidence. And the evidence is Tahawi. What about Allah? Is Allah evident? No. When he says that he is in as-sama, up. No. Allah is not correct. Tahawi is correct. See how this ilm al-kalam generates stubborn people who see the evidences in the book and the sunnah, yet they keep opposing. Take this benefit. Look at the book Ma'rifat al-Sunan wal-Athar, how Al-Bayhaqi was exposing the way of At-Tahawi. So, At-Tahawi denied one direction that Allah ascribed to himself. But the creator of Tahawi told us that he is at one direction, the direction of height. So we are obliged to deny what At-Tahawi said, to be in agreement with what the creator of the At-Tahawi said. Because when At-Tahawi disagree with what the creator of Tahawi said, then we will be ignoring At-Tahawi in this, because we have to agree with what the creator of At-Tahawi said. Unless At-Tahawi to you is more important than the creator of Tahawi. Allah said that he is over his throne, and he described himself that he is Dil Ma'arij, and that the angels mount up to him. تعرج الملائكة والروح إليه. These are ayat. Do you deny these ayat? Why you don't mention them? Why don't the Ash'aris and the Hanafis, the Maturidis, approve these ayats and stop arguing about Allah's highness? See? So let's continue with Ibn Hajar. I'm so keen to let you go on with Ibn Hajar, because we want you to slam us. Please slam us by Ibn Hajar. Go ahead.
The scan, because Maulana Abdul Halim's brought that many times, and the scan has been presented in previous videos.
We have refuted Mawlakum Abdul Halim and Mawlakum Yasir Hanafi, and they could not give any answer to what I refuted. since last year until today. Go on.
That Allah is free and transcendent.
Abu Hanifa said that Allah is over his heavens and he is up apart from down. And that's what Al-Ash'ari said in his book, Risalat Abi al-Hasan al-Ash'ari ila Ahli al-Thaghr, page 232, that they all agreed, all scholars agreed, that Allah is over his heavens, over his throne, apart from his earth. Hello, my dear. Let's continue.
And boundaries, and Allah is free from jihad, la tahwihi al-jihad sittu, that the 6 directions, so above, beneath, right, left, in front of you, behind you, they cannot contain Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
It is true, but Allah is over these, over them all, over the 7 layers, skies. He's over them, over his throne. That's what he said. Ar-Rahmanu ala arshi istawa. And the Prophet in Sahih Muslim, he asked the concubine, where's Allah? She said, in the sama. So he said to her owner, free her, for she is a believer. So the Prophet approved for the concubine iman, faith, because she said Allah is up in as-sama. She passed the test. But it seems that the Maturidis, the Deobandis, and the Ash'aris failed in the test. Shall we do? This is the problem, brothers. Those people want to argue in order to reach with you, to persuade you to believe in their philosophy, which negates what Allah ascribed himself and what his Prophet ascribed him. Like Zainab. She said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala set my marriage over his 7 skies. من فوق 7 سماوات. And Aisha was proven her innocence against what she was accused with. From above 7 heavens. All the Salaf, they believe that Allah is up apart from down. If you don't, and you say Allah is everywhere, that means this is wahdatul wujud. You're mixing Allah with you. You must limit Allah at least out of you. So that's a limit. Otherwise you'll be falling in problem of the Sufis, or those who claimed that there's a unity of existence between Allah and his creatures. Let's continue. Mystical solution. Continue.
Allah is free from them. Okay? So the people who ascribe directions to Allah take evidence, Hafiz ibn Hajar says, from this hadith.
They don't ascribe it apart from what Allah ascribed himself. Those who ascribe the direction to Allah, it's because of what Allah ascribed to himself. He said that he is over his throne. You know something of over his throne? Do you know language or not? Do you know the language or you don't know the language? When he says that he is over his throne, that means he is up. So we ascribe to Allah a direction that he ascribed to himself. Had not he been ascribing it to himself, we would have not been ascribing him by that. Let's continue.
Of Allah descending in the last third of the night to the first heaven. And then he says, وَقَالَ هِيَ جِهَةُ الْعُلُوِ. This is the direction of ulu, the direction, upper direction. Okay? What?
Upper direction. Okay, but because of his accent, upper. So you may not be understanding. All right, let's go. Upper direction, in which he ascribed himself.
أَنْكَرَ ذَلِكَ الْجُمْهُورُ.
And the jumhur, that means the mass majority of people, they denied that Allah has the upper direction. Who are the jumhur? All the Salaf approved it. Enjoy watching the document, Brother Uthman. All the Salaf followed it. Abdullah ibn Mubarak said, when he was asked, how do you describe Allah? He said that he is over his throne, over his heavens. Those are the Salaf. So what Ibn Hajar said is mistake. The Jumhur, they debated Jahmiyyah, proving that Allah is over his throne and he's up. And that's what Bukhari narrated by them. He collected their narrations when they debated with Jahmiyyah, who denied that direction of Allah up. His book, Khalq Af'al Ibad, have a look at it. Page 8, page 9, and so on. And we'll continue. Continue now.
And then he says, as for Jumhur, the vast majority of the experts of this ummah.
Stop, add words while you're translating. He did not say the expert of this ummah.
They reject this meaning of ascribing jihad and direction to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. لأن القول بذلك, because holding this opinion, okay, and accepting this, يفضي إلى التحيز تعالى الله عن ذلك, because then this leaves in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala settling, okay, and being contained and dwelling in a makan and space, and Allah is free and transcendent from this. And then he says, وَقَدْ اخْتُلِفَ فِي مَعْنَى النُّزُولِ عَلَى أَقْوَالٍ.
Now he is telling us that people disagreed about the meaning of nuzul of Allah, okay, the ascending of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They disagreed. So this is so the Jumhur don't have one word about that. They disagreed. Let's continue. Look, there's a challenge. Bring me from the Salaf of the 3 first centuries that they denied that Allah is over His throne. Bring me. I'm ready. I'm waiting for that. But I can bring you thousands of evidences that the Salaf, they always kept saying that Allah is up. There's no need for them. The Prophet approved Iman for the concubine when he asked her, where is Allah? She said, He's up. Isn't this enough for you? No. Isn't it enough for you what Allah said that He is in as-sama, amintum man fi as-sama? No. Isn't it enough for you that Allah says, Dhil Ma'arij? Dhil Ma'arij, that means He's the one that creatures mount up to Him. And look at the hadith of the Mi'raj. Musa kept saying to the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, go back to Allah and ask Him to reduce the prayer. So he said, I went up to Allah, and when I descended from up, Musa met me again and said, ask Allah to reduce more. Watch the document. Look, the Prophet said, then I kept returning between my Lord and Musa. Then I descended down until I reached to Musa. I descended down and I told him. Then he said, return to your Lord. So the Prophet was going up and down. You love the Mi'raj of Rasulullah, but you have a problem with this hadith of Mi'raj. So the Prophet said, I went up to Allah. Then I went down to Musa. Hadith al-Mi'raj is very clear. So you are trying to deny rich evidences in the book of Allah and the hadith of Rasul, the authentic hadith of Rasulullah. You will not be winning. You will fail because you're ignoring all of those evidences from the book and the Sunnah. Let's continue.
Because this is the barakah and the blessing of ilm. Now, he said,
do you believe in the barakah of ilm? If you want the barakah of ilm, purify your ilm from ilm al-kalam, the philosophic Greek knowledge, which Al-Ghazali repented from, which Al-Ghazali condemned, which Al-Ghazali said to you, take my experience. I didn't find in it any remedy. It did not heal me. But in a matter of fact, it's ilm al-kalam is a contradictory kind of knowledge. And it caused people to become enemy against one another. It even caused bloodshed between the Muslims. That's what Al-Ghazali said to you. And because of ilm al-kalam, we can see the bigotry with you, chasing those who ascribe to Allah what He ascribed to Himself. Let's continue.
got there, and the Salafis were they went into a frenzy after we mentioned that, because he says, as for the meaning of nuzul, okay, this has been differed upon. فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ حَمَلَهُ عَلَى ظَاهِرِهِ وَحَقِيقَتِهِ وَهُمُ الْمُشَبِّهَةُ.
Very good. He said that those who had taken the hadith of nuzul on its appearance, okay, apparently, those are mushabbiha. Prepare for the contradiction of Ibn Hajar. Bismillah. Before the contradiction of Ibn Hajar, let's remind you that Jilani, in his book Al-Ghunya, he said, وَهُوَ بِجِهَةِ الْعُلُوِّ, and Allah is in the direction of height. وَهُوَ بِجِهَةِ الْعُلُوِّ, Al-Jilani. So now we found for you someone who is against the way of Tahawi, and that is Jilani. And he said, he's not as what the Ash'aris and the Mu'tazilis said, that the descending is his mercy. He said this is false. And he compared Mu'tazila, the Dallin, and Ash'aris in one place. So who are the Jumhur who said that this is Tashbih? Sahaba? We challenge that you bring one of them. Ibn Hajar was relating to us the doctrine of Ahl Sunnah, related to us by Al-Hafidh Ibn Abd al-Barr, the faqih of the people of Al-Maghrib, like Andalusia, like Morocco, like Algeria. He's a great scholar, there's no doubt. So Al-Hafidh Ibn Hajar was quoting his narration of what is the doctrine of the Salaf. Look what he said. Ahl Sunnati mujmi'un. The Ahl Sunnah, they are all agreed على الإقرار بهذه الصفات, to believe in these attributes الواردة في الكتاب والسنة, that are found in the book and the Sunnah. ولم يكيفوا شيئا منها, and they did not give any howness about how Allah is over his throne, how Allah has hand, how Allah descend, how Allah. This is the way of Ahl Sunnah. They do not describe any kind of how. Continue. وأما الجهمية والمعتزلة والخوارج, خوارج, معتزلة, جهمية, they said فقالوا من أقر بها فهو مشبه. Whoever approved these attributes, he is mushabbih. فسماهم من أقر بها معطلة. So those who approved these attributes of Allah, those people describe the Jahmiyyah that they are mu'attila. They are malfunctioning, negating Allah's attributes. This is a great contradiction of Ibn Hajar. Fath al-Bari, volume 13, page 407. It goes also. He narrated by Ishaq ibn Rahaway. Ishaq ibn Rahaway. That the tashbih, the similarity, that you say the hand of Allah is like the hand of his creatures, or the hearing of Allah is just like the hearing of his creatures. This is tashbih. This is making Allah similar to his creatures. Fath al-Bari, volume 13, page 407. Which means to say, look, we take all the attributes of Allah on one ruling. Okay? We take them apparently, truly, as Allah describes himself and as the Prophet described him. Then we say, لَيْسَ كَمِثْلِهِ شَيْءٍ. As we say, there is nothing like his hearing, like his seeing, we say there is nothing like his descending. Furthermore, Ibn Taymiyyah said, فَمَنْ قَالَ إِنَّ عِلْمَ اللَّهِ كَعِلْمِي. Whoever said that the knowledge of Allah is just like my knowledge. أو قدرته كقدرتي, or his power is just like my power. أو استواؤه على العرش كاستوائي, or his استواء over his throne is just like my استواء over my chair. أو نزوله كنزولي, or his descendants just like my descendants. فهذا قد شبه الله بخلقه. This one had already similarized Allah to his creatures. وهو ضال. He is deviant, خبيث, mean, مبطل. He is malfunctioning Allah's attributes. بل كافر. No, but he is disbeliever. This is the doctrine of Ibn Taymiyyah. مجموع الفتاوى, volume 11, page 482. So now Ibn Hajar is quoting what Al-Hafidh Ibn Abd al-Barr mentioned, that the way of Ahl-Sunnah is that they ascribe Allah by what he ascribed himself, 100%. Now let me show the similarity between the Ash'aris, Maturidis, and the Mu'tazila. قال القاضي عبد الجبار المعتزلي, the head of Mu'tazila, he's known, he's very famous, Qadi Abdul Jabbar. He said, taking the texts of Allah's attributes على ظاهرها, apparently, that means literally as you say, kufr is faithlessness, blasphemy. Ibn Hajar said, وشاركهم الجهمية بنفس الذريعة. He said the Jahmis, they followed the Mu'tazila in the same justification. He said, saying, whoever approved these attributes to Allah according to its apparent texts, he is mushabbih. He said, then Ahl Sunnah called them mu'attila, that they are denying Allah's attributes. Just like what we call the Ash'aris today, that they are mu'attila because they are twisting the meaning of Allah's attributes. Now, since you mentioned At-Tirmidhi, let me quote to you what At-Tirmidhi said. He said, more than one scholar, that means many, countless scholars, they mentioned this hadith of Nuzul and other attributes to Allah. Now the scholars said, these narrations about Allah's attributes, that he descends, should be believed in, and no imagination should be taking place, and we should not be asking how. He said, and this is what Malik, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, Abdullah ibn Mubarak, they all said about these hadith. Let it go without kayf. Unlike the Jahmiyyah said, they denied these attributes and they said, whoever believed in that, he is falling in tashbih. Now those Deobandi people, they're not saying we disbelieve in it. No, they say we believe it. But they blame us if we say we believe it and we do not give it any wrong meaning, just like the Mu'tazila and Jahmiyyah. And we say ليس كمثله شيء. They're not happy with this. They keep accusing us that we are making Allah similar to his creatures, making Allah members. That's what they're saying to us. At the same page, Juwayni says, what we are pleased to believe in, that we do not make ta'wil for these attributes. If it is important to give it ta'wil, the Salaf would have been doing this. When those Deobandis say to us, you should not take it apparently, that means you must make ta'wil for it. But the ta'wil they give is possible, is doubtful, undefinite. So they just accuse us and they cannot give a solution. And they don't want to follow the way of the Salaf. That's their problem. The only thing is that you're contradicting yourself. You are not as clear as the Jahmiyyah. The Jahmiyyah said, whoever approves these attributes, he is mushabbih. But you contradict yourself. You say, we approve. But those who believe it, apparently, they are mushabbiha. What I'm trying to say here, that you should be taking all the attributes of Allah by one rule, lest you fall in contradiction. So as you say, we believe that Allah has hearing and Allah has sight. We believe in that. We don't make that we take it apparently. You should be dealing with the other attributes of Allah on the same standard, lest you become double standard. Take it by one standard. Why the attribute of Allah, Sami', Basir, did not cause with you any confusion, while the attribute that Allah is up caused confusion to you? You're contradictory. Even Jilani said that Ahl Sunnah's doctrine is that they believe that Allah descends every night to the lowest sama' as he willed, by whatever he willed. And he said that it should not be believed that the descendants of Allah is the descendants of mercy, as the Ash'aris and the Mu'tazila claimed. So he was refuting the Ash'aris. Is Jilani Mujassim Mushabbih? Yahya ibn Ma'in wa Ishaq ibn Rahawayh, they said, if you hear the Jahmi saying to you, I disbelieve in the Lord that descend from sky to another sky, then you say to him, I believed in the Lord that does whatever he will. Who narrated that? Jilani. This narration had been narrated by Al-Bayhaqi authentically in Al-Asma' wa Sifat, page 452. And also Khalq Af'al al-Ibad for Bukhari, page 36. Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari, he said, we believe that it is Allah who descends to the lowest heaven. Unlike what the people of misguidance and perversion claim, that someone else says on his behalf, is there anyone that seeks forgiveness? He's saying that the way of Ahl Sunnah is that Allah himself says, I am the king, not anyone on his behalf. And he accuses those who say that they are the people of misguidance, people of perversion, dalala. That is quoted by Al-Hafidh ibn Asakir, quoting what Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari said in the book Tabyin Kadhib al-Muftari, page 161. Once again, we need those people to tell us. We need Uthman, we need Al-Islam Productions to tell us. Who is the one that descends? He? Allah? His mercy? The angel? Please confirm to us before accusing us. By the way, there's something funny by Al-Kawthari, who said, when he was making his comments on this book, Tabyin Kadhib al-Muftari, he said, it is true that Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari was proving a way similar to the way of Imam Ahmad, saying that we prove all of those attributes, but he was using taqiyya. He wanted to bring those Salafis gradually. By claiming that he followed Imam Ahmad, then he returned them to his own belief. Shame. Wallah, this is very shameful. Accusing Abu Hasan al-Ash'ari that he was using taqiyya of the Shia. Come on. But anyway, Abdullah ibn Mubarak says, whoever says to you that you are mushabbih, you should tell him that he is Jahmi. And Jilani said the same thing exactly. The sign of the Jahmi is that he keeps saying to you, you are mujassim, you are mushabbih, you are making Allah similar to his creatures. Allahu Akbar. From the mouth of Jilani to you, Uthman. Last thing is with this Ibn al-Attar, the very special disciple, student of Imam Nawawi. He said, وَقَدْ نَفَى بَعْضُهُمُ النُّزُولِ. Some of people, they denied the descendants of Allah. Look, when you say that it's the angel who descends, you are denying the hadith of Rasulullah that it is Allah who descends. Even if you claim contradictorily that yes, we accept these hadith, but you are denying them afterwards by saying, no, it's the angel who says that. No, it's the mercy who descends. By this, you are contradicting yourself, returning to the denial of what Allah ascribed Himself and what His Prophet ﷺ ascribed Him. So, Ibn al-Attar said, some of people, they denied the descendants of Allah. Or he made ta'weel to the attributes of Allah, just like what you're doing. Ta'weel, he twists the meaning. خوفا من التحيز, fearing from the directions, تحيز. أو الحركة والانتقال, or moving, or acting. Because according to the Ash'aris, Allah should not be moving from place to place. Allah should not be acting. This is the problem. It's the philosophy's problem. That those people had adapted and they studied in these madrasa of philosophy, ilm al-kalam, and they have to maintain it. They have to justify it. So he said, they made ta'weel to it, fearing of the issue of direction or place, or moving, or acting. وَالْمُحَقِّقُونَ, but those people of knowledge, أثبتوها, they affirmed it. وَأَوْجَبُوا الْإِيمَانَ بِهَا, and they made it incumbent upon them and everybody to believe in these attributes as Allah willed. The book الاعتقاد الخالص من الشك والانتقاد, الاعتقاد الخالص من الشك والانتقاد, for Ibn al-Attar, the student of Imam Nawawi, the special student of Imam Nawawi, page 22 and 75. Finally, I have to remind you of what Al-Ash'ari himself said in his book Maqalat al-Islamiyyin. He said, the Mu'tazila said that the descendants of Allah, it means the descendants of His ayat, His miracles, or the descendants of the angel by Allah's order. Maqalat al-Islamiyyin, page 291. Tabyin Kadhib al-Muftari, page 150. See, it ended up with you agreeing with the Mu'tazila, with the Jahmiyyah. So, this slap returned to you by showing the contradiction of Ibn Hajar. First, he said, those who affirm these attributes, they are mushabbiha. Then he quoted the Aqidah of Ahl Sunnah by Al-Hafidh ibn Abdul Barr, mentioning something in contradiction, entire contradiction to the previous text that he said. Thank you very much, and I hope that was beneficial and informative. And my advice to those people, stop your so-called slammings, because the more you produce videos to slam others, the slam is returning on you. And alhamdulillah, my videos prove that. Waiting for your refutation to what I have recorded. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.